$1,000. And she wants to call and see what it entails to pay it off with our bond counsel. And I'd like to give her permission to pay that off if we can, which we can. We have enough money in the host community account to be able to do that. And we have a little bit left over where we are need to look at siding the troopers building along with repairing the sidewalk and the vestibule and set of stairs at the Parks and Rec building. I was going to talk to you about that earlier, Jeff, and I forgot about that. We'll need to take a look at that and see what we need to do to put that out to bid.
Yeah.
And I'd like to be able to do that for the 17th when we do everything else up to that point. So, the building we owe, let's see, it's not paid off till 2028. But this will give us a little bit more flexibility on our cash flow. So I'd like to be able to do that if the board is in sync with that. So I would need a motion to give Beth permission to pay this building off, pay our last improvement project off, which was moving to the Parks and Rec building, doing the troopers and the ambulance over here, and revamping the town office building with the air conditioning.
I'm gonna move that.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Martin, second.
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Cox. Is there any discussion? Yes, sir.
Quite an ambitious project. I know we've been talking about it for quite a while. It was to save us some money on the payments to save money.
Well, we budget 164,000 or 150,000 a year, 150 a year on it. So that'll
stay with us.
Yep.
And supposed to win money is majority of it.
But this is where it's going to come from most communities, yes. And hopefully we get it next year, but I don't know. Governor's got issues right now. We all know some. Gary, you want?
I just wonder what the loan rate for that
2%.
existing one.
2%. Yes, sir. Anybody else? No? Okay. Mr. Martin?
Aye.
Mr. Cox?
Aye.
Mr. Ranger?
Aye.
Mr. Bershkovich?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. So the town is literally debt-free with exceptions of our water districts and sewer districts, which are special districts. We own nothing on equipment, nothing on building improvements, and as you can see from our audit, we're in good shape. So the town is in excellent financial shape, which there's a lot of towns around this state, and this state actually can't say that. And it's a testament to our department heads and comptroller and the way the board has prudently spent the taxpayer funds here in the town. So and it's greatly appreciated. Next, Andy, do you want to talk about just tee up the sewer stuff and
Since we've been doing this department over at Highway, I guess it's pretty much my past practice that we've been, when a new building or a new home goes in, we have been tapping the main for service to these new homes or business or whatever it may be. Sometimes we have to tap the main, sometimes there's a lateral there, we connect. And other times, the homeowner will get a call and there's a construction project going on that maybe we didn't know about it and someone wants to come down and inspect it. So it's kind of been all over the board as far as until today, I really didn't realize whose responsibility is it to pay for that connection. So I made a copy, helped me look that up today. And it says right here in the sewer law, said property owner, I'll pull back up. It's under new sewers and sewer extensions, Article 6, Section 602A. But basically it says said property owner, builder or developer shall pay for the entire installation, including a proportionate share of the treatment plant. Intercepting or trunk sewers, pumping stations, ports, mains, and all other expenses incidental thereto. So fortunately, we have been paying for some of these connections. And there's, there can be quite a cost. We did one today, and I printed out what our cost was. This was a bore under the road. We rented a machine, and we did the bore ourselves, and it wasn't bad. So this is the first one. I think this cost would be probably cut down, maybe at $900. But in every situation, the depth of the main, water, there's so many factors in this. But to back up to what my concern is somebody comes into the office over here, the codes, and they want a building permit for a new home or maybe a sewer permit. I don't know what a building permit costs, but I know a sewer permit, I think they're going to charge $100. And what happens when that happens is we're not getting notified. So I think the first step probably should be that as soon as any permits are pulled for anything to do with sewer, an email needs to go to the sewer department. So we can follow up, because a lot of times we get a call, we don't even know what's going on. Next thing you know, someone's in the sewer or they want an inspection that day. So I think we're missing some pieces here that could be easily rectified. There's another situation just this year down on Pierce Road, a homeowner built this house. He hired someone to tap into the main, and we got a call to inspect it. So some people are just going ahead and doing the project and paying for it themselves. Other people are calling us and asking for our help, and we've been helping. So, and this is prior to us running it over there too. I mean, Clayton kind of had the same practice. Another situation was on Route 960, Route 31. There was a house there. It was in the original Bridgeport district, but I guess the guy hadn't been hooked up. So he took it upon himself to hook up. So he hooked up, I don't know how long ago, but we get a call because he had an alarm going on the panel. And we go down there and find out that we punch in the address, and the address doesn't come up in the system, which means he's not in the system. So we didn't do any repair until he pulled the permit. He did pull a permit. Once he did that, then we went down and repaired the stranded pump. So, there's a lot of little quirky things that are happening. I think the process ought to go permit, hold here. It's emailed to the sewer department or however delivered. We would immediately open up a service request, which you have in your hand. And we don't close that service request until we inspect it. And once that's inspected, we take pictures, we upload the pictures onto the system, which we do that practice now. And then we would email back to codes and the assessor a completed work request that says it was inspected. So we're we're making sure that no new homes go in and maybe they're not getting charged sewer, or so there's really nothing missed. So I think that has to be part of the system. The other question I have is how do we alleviate some of this of people just going ahead and tying into the sewer themselves because they get a permit here for $100 and we don't know anything about it. Next thing you know, who are they using for a contractor? So I've been doing a little investigating. The village of Chipmango, they charge a fee. Don't quote me, but I believe it's $1,500 or $1,700. Andy felt that was about the price. And when somebody goes in with a new construction or they want to tie into the sewer, they fill out a sewer application and they pay that fee up front. Let's just use $1,500 for example. So the service request you see reflects us boring under the road, tying into that sewer main. And at that point, we leave it at the side of the road with a shutoff. So
Was this a new construction?
yes,
The one we talked about?
today is new construction.
So there's no curb cut for this or anything else?
No.
So really, we should charge them the whole amount.
Well,
It should-
well, we still can. Because I didn't make any promises on.
Yeah,
it, But
refresh, these guys, refresh my memory, because I only have a couple things going on, but my memory's not bad. How we did this with Bridgeport, they are getting charged the unit and the treatment, because we didn't want to separate it out because of this exact reason, who was hooking up, who wasn't hooking up, we couldn't keep track. So after, I think, 3 years, we started charging the treatment charge to encourage everybody to hook up, but we never addressed, is that wrong or right?
You're only paying, if you're not hooked up, you're not paying the service fee.
They're not paying the treatment charge? You're sure?
I'm almost positive.
Okay,
Let's
So
get
that
that
would be
thing,
the unit that they would have the debt service in, that everybody would be charging, and the treatment when you hook up to the beach, then it would
correct.
trigger that. But, yes, so that's for the existing people, but what Andy's talking about is like new people within that.
Right, I'm getting to that because if somebody didn't hook up, that's what I'm trying to get at. Are we charging the treatment or not charging the treatment? We're not. Okay, so how about if they're
So this
If
is.
they're not hooked up, what do we, I guess that's what I'm getting to, what are we gonna do? Are we gonna charge them?
Well,
Because they've already paid it once in the district,
not
correct?
really, not really, not really. What he's
I thought
talking
that
about-
was part of the.
No, it's
grant.
going to the road. We tried to encourage as many as we could to get on the grant and do the grant at the time, but we couldn't get a lot of people because of low income base, so there was a lot that weren't hooked up. But what Andy's talking about is like if your line is on the road, hooking it up to their house or under the road, it's encouraged. It costs the rest of the residents to do.
What is it, new construction?
New construction.
But I'm talking about somebody that never hooked up to the grinder pump.
There are
But
those.
But that could be a new construction, because there are lots with grinder pumps. on
Grinder
them.
pumps on them that there's
We
nothing
did,
left.
we did put some grinder pumps out there, just to get them out there so people.
So we're kind of just
So my
talking.
point is that we didn't think we really wanted to do this under, we didn't want to bore under the road, because we're not experienced at it, we were a little nervous, but we got a quote to do 2 under the road bores. And this didn't include excavation, it didn't include anything other than we dig the holes, they come and drill under the road for us, and we do all the work. $8,500 to do 2. We can't, the sewer department can't sort that cost. So, I mean, as it is, we have $3,900. But not technically, I mean, hard costs, a lot less than that. So I think the debate would be, do we charge an upfront fee? There's a couple scenarios. If you got to bore under the road, obviously it gets pretty expensive. But if you don't have to bore under the road, it's a lot simpler. So, I guess you could say you have a 50-50 chance there. And then there's gravity, which is also different.
Right.
There's a new building going up, or a new home going up on Syracuse Herald on a vacant lot.
That's great.
There's a ladder, we got the old maps out, there's a ladder there.
Right.
But again, we should be, I don't want to probably capitalize on
Just a connection fee.
a connection.
So I would say if we're getting technical into boring under the road and everything, I still say that there should be a connection fee, but let that homeowner get your own borer and everything, and you just do the inspection and stuff.
Well, I mean, the way the law is written right now, that's what it says.
Yeah.
So, but do
We
we
were
want to?
never intended to have the town of Sullivan do things like bore under the road.
Right.
When we first started this whole thing, yes, it was always
It was the
Yeah.
grinder pump maintenance and all that kind of stuff.
Correct,
I
if
think
somebody
it's
wants to
some
get them now,
pretty
and put it in the
technical
house.
stuff.
But we're capable of doing the connections, and we feel a lot better when we actually do the inspection. If we know it's not right, or we have control of a contractor who does that connection. Because my fear is that you let Joe Schmo down at wherever, he gets his contractor. Well, who's to say that guy's even permitted? I'm certain he's gonna get the license plumber anyway. So we're at risk of just letting, obviously we have to inspect it, but we've already run into situations with like even Simon Stevens. I mean, the next thing you know, I'm getting
Right.
called 6 o'clock at night, so we dug through and, hit the sewer line because they never called us, so do you charge a flat upfront fee, and you're rolling the dice a little, but I think if we just use $1,500 or $2,000 fee, I honestly think the town could probably do well with that. We might lose a couple, we might win a couple, and we're in control of the whole situation. There are a few sewers that are pretty deep, like minor roads, right, 11 feet, 12 feet deep.
Yep.
Are there gonna be any new houses down there? I mean, so there is a little bit of a gamble on probably very few, but Syracuse Herald, I mean, that's probably a 2.5, 3-hour job for us, and say it was $1,500, but this one down on Barrett today was a little more expensive. So we're in control of that connection. I know the village is in control of theirs. So I'm just throwing it out there, and I don't even know I'm soliciting that we want to do it, but I think we need a little clearer picture of.
Okay,
how do we
so,
move forward.
that's the connection fee. Suppose we get into the directional bore and underneath the road and everything else, that would be costs borne by us, that's the homeowner, and you're just paying the $1,500 to hit our sewer.
I'm saying that if we charge a flat fee, whether you bore under the road or you don't, the fees are all the same. So it's
But we
equal.
wouldn't be boring under the road, the
No,
homeowner,
No, we would do it.
we would do that?
Yeah. That's what we did today. So I'm saying is if you set a fee on it, whether you're boring under the road or you're not, if you're tapping a main or you're just connecting to a lateral, the fee's the same. So again, we're gonna do really well when we're just connecting to a lateral. It's a little more extensive, like today would be more of the worst case scenario. But we are in control, and if that person is paying a substantial amount for an application, they're not going to just go do it on their own, because
Right.
now they have a vested interest in making sure that we do the ladder or the connection and it's done right.
I think we want to do a tiered deal, like if you're just hitting the lateral from that sewer down on the gravity is only 3 feet to ground, 4 feet to ground. That's a quick, easy one. You know, that might be $1,000, but you got directional drill here, you know, that's $3,900. Maybe we want to say, okay, if we got a directional drill, that's a $2,500 commitment.
I mean, I think it's something we can
Yep.
discuss.
Okay.
Or you just put a flat fee on it and everybody pays the same, which I almost feel better about that because it's more equal, because people talk and, you know, well, I paid this, and why did they pay that? And people don't understand that. So again, this is just a discussion of how do we move forward.
And as of today, they have to pay the whole shot.
As of today, that's
They
what
have
it's,
to pay the whole thing.
Yeah.
So the homeowner you did, this is an example, is he paying the whole thing?
well, in the past, we did a lot of work today, and I haven't had a discussion with them, and I haven't made my
At
promise.
least you would really be surprised.
But I'm gonna tell you, in the past, we have done them. So, but this is a little more clear. I
Yeah,
told
not
John,
directional
I talked to both Johns today. So technically speaking, if somebody wants to hook in, that's their sole, moving forward. That's what it would be. But how do we want to move forward is the question.
Okay, so that brings me to my next. For the meeting on the 17th, I'd like to have a work meeting and maybe start at 1 or 2. And we need to discuss, we're gonna have 3 fire chiefs here. We'll be discussing fire trucks. We'll also want to put out the bid on that night, cemeteries, property maintenance, siding on the troopers, Parks and Rec building, Jeff, those projects. We want to talk about codes carry, which you want to be caught up on. And I think we talked about, we have Andy in and we talk about the sewer situation and we get some kind of resolution. So I'm looking to that day, maybe it's even just 2 or 3 o'clock to get some resolution to some of this stuff and get it off our plate so we get it moved along.
Was this,
Good idea.
this was updated when Bridgeport came in, was it? Was there amendments at that point?
Yeah, there was some amendments, but as you can tell, we've got in there the cast iron pipe, which nobody's using anymore and all that.
So I, like I said, I didn't know if you do an amendment or even, like you said, there could be a stipulation of what district. some of these things are, but.
Well,
And I'm not advocating for more work, but it's,
Well, if you don't know who's hooking up, who's not hooking up, and you can't have anybody just jamming into that pipe.
right, that's my concern.
So is everybody okay with even if we just make it, just codes and sewers that day, that's fine. Still gotta talk to fire trucks, but if we just make it mainly codes and sewers that day, that's fine with me. If everybody else wants to do it, you tell me what you want.
So I can be here all day, so that's what we need, but
3 o'clock will give you 2 hours before the meeting. You're not gonna get that far in the codes with 2 hours. That's gonna be a couple different meetings, but we could probably knock out the sewers that day if you wanted to do that.
we, on the first Wednesday of the month, we could be a little earlier also. So,
So do we just want to set the 17th a little bit earlier we'll talk fire trucks and sewer code? Gary, I know you wanted to get on the regular code. Can we just move that to another month?
Hey, probably we could do, we probably could split that up a little bit too. You know what I mean? We say, you two guys get some information together on, on one or two items within the code books. We probably could go through it and say, these are the ones that we should at least start to consider. You know what I mean?
And the codes
Just
up?
look through it and say, yeah, these, because John Laney has a lot of the old
I got a
stuff.
whole bunch of stuff,
Yeah.
whatever you like. What time do you say, 2 o'clock?
It's 3 o'clock for everybody. We'll spend an hour on A&D sewers and an hour with the fire chiefs.
John, do you have any input on some of this sewer stuff? Some of the other?
We've worked with some of our other clients, and we'll talk about it more, but generally speaking, the normal rule is you find some number that's fair to everybody, and they pay for it.
But is there a lot of that though? Is there a lot of?
It's all over the place, yeah. Places have sewage. I think when we worked on these 2004 regulations, we worked with BNL, and we examined a whole bunch of different sewer codes around central New York. And this is sort of where we landed on it. The way the language reads now, it's pretty strongly says who has to pay. But I think now you gotta just, it's a policy issue for the board, so I think you guys gotta wrap some.
Okay, so is everybody fine with 3 o'clock on the 17th? Okay, so I'll need a motion to have a work session at 3 o'clock on the 17th for a couple hours. We'll spend the first hour with our fire chiefs, and then the second hour on sewer codes with Andy and the highway superintendent. Is that good? And need a motion for that, please? Motion by John B. Second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Martin. Is there any discussion? Is that good, Carrie? Okay, Mr. Cox.
Aye.
Mr. Rainey.
Aye.
Mr. Burchett.
Aye.
Mr. Martin.
Aye.
Okay.
Carrie, I got a few questions for Beth. So I can do a study. Each of the sewer districts like Bridgeport, East Sullivan, West, the other two don't have a maintenance charge.
No, East Sullivan does not have a maintenance.
Like a, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
West Sullivan did not. Bridgeport, we had to build $100 in because of our deed.
We're supposed to be able to replace every single grinder pump within a 15-year period. So we have to keep that in mind, because before we did that sewer law that he has now, we had that green book, that's all we had.
Right.
So we updated it from there. So the intent was to have a little bit, to have the focus, not so much getting, hanging you with a lot of construction, just to grinder pumps tending to, because East Sullivan didn't have a lot of problems. They were work around, they were having a problem with grinder pumps.
Well, East Sullivan had problems, but nobody wanted to take care of it. So with the I&I, chase that around all the time.
But day to day,
Yeah.
we imagine the grinder pumps would be a lot more
Andy, how, the School Street Pump Station, I came over earlier to talk to Alex about that. What's, are we running okay on that? That's what you replaced all the pumps in
That
there?
is new from one end to the other. We started out with, I'm gonna put $15,000 into it, and everything we touched went wrong.
How about, on a wet weather event, though? Are we right where we're supposed to be, or?
I haven't even looked at those numbers lately, but I think we've been pretty good. I'm gonna have to talk to Abe, see downloads everything as he's doing it in his phone.
Okay, because we gotta have a discussion. Huh?
I can get a report on that.
Okay, yeah, we gotta have a discussion about that because, we've got a developer that wants to put in 28 houses down there. And the beach was having an issue. This was from back in 2008. An issue with us going into the gravity in East Sullivan, which runs to School Street versus us running all the way back up to 31 into the force main. So I'd like to get a handle on where our numbers are before
Okay,
we,
you're talking for I.
yeah.
I
Before I
know
approach the beach on another 28 homes there, so.
there's, I have Taylor got me up with books on when you guys do all the smoke tests.
Yep,
So some of that stuff has been done, some of it hasn't. It's a never ending checklist.
It's always a chasing it around.
So, we really need to get back on that cycle of hoping that, and doing our checks on that
Yep.
stuff. So,
Are you getting reports? Is Taylor giving you reports from Jack Dodson in the beach on any of that stuff? Okay, we're supposed to be getting monthly reports on all that stuff. Because usually when we go down to the beach, they bombard us with, oh, we're over on this and under on this. And
yeah.
so we're supposed to have reports.
we
I'll
haven't-
call Taylor tomorrow and talk to him.
we haven't heard anything on numbers from them.
No,
I guess that might be good.
I'm sure that somebody's watching right now and calling them and we'll get a phone call tomorrow. Do we have any questions, Kate? Okay, does anybody else here have any questions before we go in for advice of council? Yes, so we gotta throw that one a bone or what? Okay, all right, we'll need a motion to go into executive session for advice of council, please. Motion by Mr. Martin, second. Second by Mr. Cobb. Is there any discussion? Okay, Mr. Bruskevich.
Aye.
Mr. Cobb. Mr. Reed. Mr. Martin. And I'm an aye.